Hello class, my name is Jimmy Wong and I am going over chapter 1, which is the overview of the entire book. So here's our 4 reasons why we want to conduct an evaluation. The first reason is to find the impact of the program, whether there is one or there isn't one. The second reason is to look for the evidence of the impact, so we can see if there's any evaluation basically provide evidence to see if the program have done any impact to the objective. The third reason is to see the benefit. We want to see if the program does it benefit the objective or not. Oh, and then the fourth reason is to see if we want to continue or not continue the program. So the book basically provide a approach for the evaluator to use when they're conducting evaluation. And the approach is called the real-world evaluation. The reason why they created this approach is that when evaluated conducting a program evaluation, they usually encounter four constraints. Those four constraints is budget, time, limit asset to baseline data, and comparison group, and the fourth one is the political influence. So the real-world evaluation approach can help tackle each of these constraints and to come up with an outcome that will be useful to the evaluator. So here's an example of a budgeting chart for a program. As you can see in task number 2, they dedicated 10% of the total funding into the evaluation design. So one of the constraints that were listed in the previous slides is that budget. So what I want to show you here is that even a evaluation design or conducting an evaluation costs money, and in most cases, the program has to dedicate some sort of funding into conducting evaluation or a reporting program. And in some cases, that can be a problem because funding is limited, or the agency just simply don't have that money budget power to conduct the evaluation, and as a result, the evaluation will be poorly conducted or will not be complete or on point as required by the funding agency. So the second thing I want to point out is task number 3, data collection. Why the reason I want to point this out is that I know a lot of classmates encounter problems, including myself, when to find the baseline data when we're trying to do assignment 1. What I want to point out here is that data collection does cost money. You do need the manpower to go there to collect data, and as you can see, data collection in this program is 33% of the total funding. So it's not surprised that sometimes the baseline data is hard to find, and that become a problem when we try to do an evaluation. So here's an example on how time can affect a evaluation. This is an example from a grant application from the California Air Resource Board that I copy and pasted to the slide, and the section I copy is the reporting the budget. So under this section, the grantee, which is the one who is receiving funding, are required to provide a report every year to the funding agency in order for them to continue receiving the grant money. As you can see, so time is a restriction in this case because every year they will need to provide a evaluation on the program in order for them to continue to receive the funding. Here's the last constraint that I want to talk about. I'm going to continue using the same example I used on the last slide. So on the last slide, I copy and paste a section from the grant application from the California Air Resource Board. So the last constraint I want to talk about is the political influence. So if you are applying for a grant from the California Air Resource Board, and when you want to conduct an evaluation, you want to show that you are meeting the same objective as that funding agency. So as a grantee, you want to prove to the California Air Resource Board that your program is helping the air quality and is helping the environment. And that can influence on how you want to conduct the evaluation and how you want to present that evaluation. So there are 7 steps into the real world evaluation approach. Each step will be covered in the next couple chapter by different, I guess, classmate. So I won't go into detail of the step, but here are the summary of the 7 step. The first step is planning and scoping the evaluation. The second step is the second step, and the third step and the fourth step is to basically prepare yourself addressing um, the budget constraint, time constraint, and data constraint. And the fifth step is to understanding the political factor that's influencing the program or the evaluation. Like I said before, each of the evaluation has has a stockholder, and they will be giving some influence to the outcome and what outcome they want from that evaluation. And the sixth step is basically to straining the evaluation design and see and validating conclusion, basically providing data to back up the outcome from the evaluation. And then the last step is to help the client use the evaluation. Uh, if you finish an evaluation of a program and does not know how to apply the evaluation into as an evidence for your program, then you basically wasted time to do the evaluation. So the last step is to help different client stockholder on how they can use the evaluation to help them train the program and or validate the program. So after figuring out the 7th step of the RWE, we can talk about who will be using this evaluation approach and what's the purpose of using this evaluation approach and when you can apply this approach. So the first is who. In most case, evaluation practitioner are the one who will be using the RWE approach, and government agency also will use that approach when they evaluation a program. So what is the purpose of using this approach? So there's 3 reason I summarize is to understand and overcome the constraint. And as I presented earlier, there are many constraints when we conducting a evaluation of a program. So at RWE, the real world evaluation approach can help the practitioner and the government agency to identify, understanding, and overcome those constraints. Some example that was given was time, finance, and also data collection and the political influence. So another reason why they will want to use this approach is to basically reduce the cost and time. The RWE approach can help practitioner to reduce the cost and the time that will be used to evaluate the program. And the last reason I summarize the purpose is to understand the evaluation method, because there are many evaluation methods. They're not one correct one, but you do need to identify them and understand how that method work. So the last thing to talk about is when you can use this approach. So you can basically start the evaluation or the RWE evaluation approach in the beginning of the program or during the program or after the program. Obviously, at different time, there will be different constraint and there will be different approach to the evaluation, because if you do it in the beginning, you obviously have more time, you can understand more who is the stockholder or who is the political influence, and you can adjust the method of evaluation to be suitable to the stockholder. While you are doing the program, you try to do this approach. there will be a little bit more constraint in time and cost because the program's already been running. So there is a lot of things you need to consider because the data are coming in, you don't know when you collect data, and you need to know when the evaluation can be conducted and how long it would take. And if you want to do the evaluation approach and after the program is done or toward the end, then there obviously will have a time constraint because the program is about to be over, and the method of collecting the data will be limited because you've been already collecting data in the beginning of the program.